If you've been following the news about AI, you've probably got whiplash. I mean, one headline screams about this massive AI-fueled economic boom, and the very next one warns about record-breaking job losses. It's confusing, right? It feels like nobody can agree on what's actually happening. So let's cut through the noise and figure this out together.
So here it is, the big question. Is this whole AI revolution an engine for incredible prosperity, or is it a disruptive force that's about to break our economy? The really fascinating thing is, what if the answer is yes? What if it's both, happening at the exact same time?
And this slide just lays out the paradox perfectly. On one side, you've got a talent war so intense that top AI specialists are getting offered, on average, $1.5 million in stock. Wild. But on the other side, that same exact technology could force 12 million people to find completely new jobs. So how can both of these things be true at once?
Okay, let's start by looking at the case for a boom, and I mean a massive economic gold rush. The evidence here is pretty powerful, and it's all driven by this tidal wave of investment and, frankly, a ton of optimism.
Just look at how fast the money is flowing. Companies all over the world are on track to more than double what they're spending on AI this year alone. It's jumping from about 0.8% of their revenue to 1.7%. That is some serious acceleration.
And you know, this isn't just a Silicon Valley thing, not at all. The spending is surging everywhere. Yeah, tech is leading the way, but look how close finance and insurance are. It shows you this is a fundamental shift happening across the pillars of our economy.
Let's come back to this number for a second, because it says so much. $1.5 million. This isn't just about a salary. This is about making key employees millionaires on paper just to keep them from jumping ship to a competitor. It signals a belief that the value these people can create is, well, almost limitless.
So what's behind it all? It's the long-term vision. This quote from McKinsey really puts a number on that optimism. $13 trillion. That is the potential economic prize that's driving all this crazy investment and this insane war for talent. It's a massive bet on a radically more productive future.
But now, we have to flip the coin. Let's look at the other side of the story. Because for every story you hear about creation and wealth, there's an equally powerful story about disruption and displacement. And honestly, this is the part that fuels all of our anxiety.
You know, there's actually a formal economic term for this fear. It's called the displacement effect, and it's a simple and sometimes pretty brutal reality. When a machine or an algorithm can do a task cheaper and faster than a person, well, that person often gets replaced.
But here's the thing, this time feels different. Past waves of automation, they hit the factory floor, right? AI, it's coming for the office. We might be seeing the start of what people are calling a white-collar recession, where high-paying cognitive jobs, think law, design, administration, are the ones on the chopping block.
And this isn't some far-off, futuristic scenario, it's happening right now. A staggering 40% of employers say they are already making plans to reduce their workforce specifically because of what AI can now do. The disruption is already here.
Okay, so how do we make sense of this? Creating millionaires on one hand, planning mass layoffs on the other. How do we resolve this paradox?
Well, the answer might lie in a really powerful economic pattern that shows up during these moments of huge technological change.
The key idea here is that the real question isn't boom or bust, it's about the timeline. See, this pattern, the J-curve, it suggests that with any game-changing technology, you first have to go down before you can shoot way, way up.
And hey, we've been here before. This feeling of disconnect is not new. Back in 1987, the Nobel-winning economist Robert Solow said this about computers. Everyone could see the potential, but the actual economic numbers weren't showing it yet. Why? Because the entire economy had to rewire itself first.
The J-curve really breaks down into two simple phases. First, you have the investment phase. You can also call it the break. This is where we are right now. Companies are spending a ton, jobs are getting displaced, everything feels chaotic. Productivity might even go down for a bit. But all of this pain is the necessary groundwork for the second phase, the harvesting phase, or the boom. That's when all that investment finally pays off in huge, obvious gains for everyone.
Now, a key force driving this whole process is something called technological deflation. It sounds complicated, but it's simple. As AI gets exponentially better, the actual cost of intelligence starts to plummet towards zero. And this pushes down the price of everything AI can do, from writing code to giving legal advice.
And you can see this deflation happening in real time. Just look at the insane price war for the AI models themselves. To process 1 million chunks of information, they call them tokens, it could cost you $75 on a premium model or less than 50 cents on a low-cost one. The price is absolutely cratering, and that fierce competition is the engine of the J-curve.
So this all brings us to the most important point. We are living inside the dip of the J-curve. We're in the break phase. This is the painful part. This is the confusing part. The real question then becomes, how do we navigate it?
Well, the theory gives us a few clear strategies. First, we have to start building for deflation, not inflation. For decades, our entire economy has been wired for prices to always go up. AI is an intensely deflationary force. This means business models that rely on just jacking up prices are going to struggle. The winners will be the ones who use falling costs to give more value for less. Second, you got to remember the old saying, in a gold rush, sell picks and shovels. The safest bets might not be the flashiest new AI app, but the boring but essential infrastructure that powers it all, the computer chips, the data centers, the energy grids. And maybe most importantly, we just have to reframe how we see things. All this disruption, the job anxiety, the weird productivity numbers, this isn't the new normal. It's the temporary and, yeah, painful price of admission for a much, much bigger economic boom on the other side.
And that leaves us with one final critical question. The J-curve model tells us that this painful break phase we're in is pretty much inevitable. But the boom on the other side, that's not guaranteed. It's conditional. It depends on us, on our ability to manage this transition. So the question for all of us is, what are the bridges we need to build in our society, in our companies, and in our own careers to make sure we actually cross this valley and get to the other side?
Not sure which skills will move you forward? Skill Tree Learning makes it clear. From SAP and Microsoft to data analytics and generative AI,